Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast. And we are just excited that you are here. And more than that, I'm excited because we have amazing guest Jeff. Jeff, before we get started, means our audience would like to know about your background and how you can help them. So, will you please tell us how you can help solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners in either getting new business started or scaling, growing their own businesses?
Yes, for sure. I'm so glad to be here with you, Sue. Thanks for having me. Well, my background, I'll be brief because as an attorney, I tend to talk long, but I'll be brief here. I have a background that combines engineering, law, and an MBA, and then also running my own business. So I've been in the trenches where solo and small businesses are. I've started my business. I've grown it to where it is today, and so I'm very familiar with the path that people are on. I'm also familiar with the chaos that small businesses have to deal with because you're wearing so many hats, trying to do so many things, trying to find the right priorities. And so I've seen it. I've been there. I deal with it, and I see it with clients. Right. One of the things I like to tell people is I've seen behind the curtain of a lot of businesses, and we all put on our nice happy face up front. We pretend like everything is successful all the time, and in reality, it's not. And that's normal. That's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to work on, of course, but not something to be ashamed of. So, as an attorney for startups and scaling businesses, that's really my role, is to help do that cleanup, help bring a little bit more order to the chaos, and really, if I could do anything, it's help my clients become more confident in the things that they're doing, the business they're building, the innovations that they're bringing into reality.
So you're like a complete package, means attorney, engineer, business owner. Wow, everything. I never came across with someone with your kind of background. So I'm really excited to know. So who is your ideal customer and how can you bring transformation into their life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've worked with, early on in my career, really large companies like IBM and Apple and Intel, but I found my love with small, growing companies. So anything from founders who are just coming up with their first idea and want to get a patent on it, to people who have raised a little bit of money. Maybe they've launched a product and they're in the scaling mode. Kind of I don't know if you've read the book Nail It, Then Scale It, but they've come up with the idea, they've nailed the product market fit and the market validation, and now they're scaling. So it's startups to scaling businesses that we really focus on. And the things that we do, I mean, we provide something called a fractional legal team. So a lot of people have heard about fractional CMOs and fractional CTOs and maybe even fractional general counsel in the legal field. We take it one step further, and we do a fractional legal team. So there, if you look at businesses, every business deals with all of the same types of issues that a large business deals with. They just have maybe smaller problems, but they have the same breadth or diversity of problems. So you might need to deal with employment issues, or patents and trademarks, or raising money, or doing contracts with vendors, or you have all the same problems, and so you just don't have all the same resources. So a fractional legal team really allows you to get access to a team of expert attorneys who have among them the different expertise you need for the different issues in your business. That's really how we approach it.
So you help legal area or you help in general entrepreneurship and business growth areas too?
We do both. So we do legal, and then
Okay.
I also get into the weeds with some inventors and some businesses where they say, hey, I really need to build out my financial model. I've got an MBA. I'm not an accountant or a CFO necessarily, but when you're talking about the issues in the business, so many of them bleed over. They're not just legal issues. They're not just finance issues. They cross over domains. And so that's where having some experience
Yeah,
running my own business helps.
you're absolutely right. So you are talking about your clients' challenges, but what about your challenges?
Oh,
What kind of challenges you faced early on and how you overcame them?
yeah, you know, I face some of the same challenges that you and all of your audience face, right? We have one of the things that I've done that took me a really long time was to really define what my business is. And you know, early on when you're a lawyer, and I think this is probably true for real estate agents and plumbers and accountants, and you kind of get into the field, you start working with people who are in the field, and it looks like the work just comes in and you just do the work, and the stuff just works on its own. And then one day, you know, maybe 2 years or 5 years or 10 years down the road, you're like, why am I not managing this business more and being proactive? You know, I remember telling somebody maybe a few years after I started my own business, this is great. You know, the work just comes in. I don't have to do any marketing. And then a few years later, I remember saying to my wife and my internal team, I'm like, why in the world wasn't I doing marketing early on? I missed an opportunity to really define my brand. I was just letting the work define who I was instead of me
Oh,
defining.
that's absolutely right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So that was one of the biggest mistake you did initially.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest mistakes initially. You know, more recently I make mistakes still, and we have, you know, I've got clients who owe me money, you know, and I have to collect from them. What small business owner hasn't had that issue happen, right? So we're always trying to improve our business, make it better, and, you know, be able to really ultimately provide better service to our clients by minimizing the distractions in our own business.
Yeah, but so let's talk about success. So what is the most successful sales strategy you used in your business to grow your
Oh, that's a
business?
great question. You know, I think there's two things probably. One is I've really nailed the messaging for the clients that we work with. You know, it's startups and small businesses in SaaS, e-commerce, and tech-enabled businesses. That's who we focus on. So by focusing more, it it removes the need to try to cater to a broader audience and try to figure out who, you know, how do I get you to hire me when you're not really my ideal client? That's more of a waste of time. So focusing um, focusing that messaging and that market that I'm after has really helped. And the other thing is just having a standardized onboarding process. So when clients come to me, they almost always just slot right into my process, which is to do a free 30-minute strategy call first. Once you do a strategy call, and I know that exactly what you're looking at, what your roadmap is, what business objectives you're working towards, what legal issues you're probably going to have come up with those business objectives, and then we know if it's going to be a good fit to work together. So doing that and the automations that we've built around that really have streamlined the ability to bring in, find and bring in the right clients.
So how did you discover your passion and purpose? Because you said, yeah, first few years it was basically figuring out exact business, but then how did you discover passion?
You know, I've been a learner forever, right? I actually went to engineering school knowing that didn't want to be an engineer, but I wanted the experience, I wanted the learning that would come from that. Um, and then I later went, after having, gotten my law degree and working for, gosh, how many years? I don't know, almost 10 years. I said, I want to go get an MBA because I want to learn more about business strategy and what my clients are actually dealing with. So I went and got my MBA. And, the only reason I'm not in a PhD program right now is my wife says, Jeff, you got to focus. You got to focus on your business. And she's right. Business is going well. And, maybe someday I'll go back to school just because I enjoy it. But I'm always trying to learn. And that's brought me, into different paths. Like, I don't think I would be doing this fractional legal team that I described if I hadn't been thinking, what's a better way to serve my clients, right? I've got some areas that I'm really strong in around strategy and innovation that aren't necessarily the typical legal types of work that people do, but it's because, those things caught my eye when I saw businesses and clients struggling to define what their actual strategy was. They're like, oh, we want to make $1 million or $100 million. And, but it's like, how are you actually going to do it? How are you actually going to use in my case, use your intellectual property assets to achieve that result and become a business leader in your industry? Things like that. It's just, I just love seeing people take something from their mind and bring it into reality. And my clients do that. My clients are innovators. They're creating new products.
With your help. They do it with your
Well,
help.
I
Yeah.
try to help them for sure.
Yeah. So you're talking about systems. So what all the systems and habits really help you to gain work-life balance? Because you also mentioned about your wife. So yeah, so I just want to know about that too.
Yeah, work-life balance is super important to me. Early on in my career, I realized, like a lot of attorneys, you can just work yourself to death, almost literally, and that's of course not my end objective. So I'm very rigorous about my morning routines. I play soccer or tennis almost every morning, and then I lift weights. And so I do that very, very routinely. It's fantastic for my mental health. The other thing I do is I'm very family is really important to me. So I set aside family time. We actually just got back this Tuesday from a month-long working vacation in Europe. And yeah,
Wow, I love Europe.
oh yes,
Yeah.
it was so fun, and it was great to be able to take, my whole family. I've got 4 kids from 26 down to 15. They were all able to come with us, and we spent a month traveling across different places in Europe, and working and seeing the sights, and I don't know, work is important, clients are important. I'm not sure that any of that trumps family and personal health though. So you've got to really make the time for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Many people in my audience, they always want to know, if you want to start from scratch, how will you start, and what will you mean, which are the things you will focus on?
I think if we're talking really generally across industries, I think number one, sales. You have to have sales. If you're starting a business and you're not selling something, you don't have a business. And I say that because I work with a lot of innovators and maybe the prototypical inventor types who they're kind of in their garages creating something, but they don't know how to sell it. And then they get very frustrated after spending 5 years and tens of thousands of or more on this invention, but they've never thought about how to sell it. They want somebody else to sell it. That you just can't have a business like that. You need to have sales. That's number one in every business that you'll ever be in. Profitability is another issue, depending on whether or not you've got outside funding and things like that. But sales is the baseline. The other thing, just because I'm an attorney, I would say I've never seen an entrepreneur who started a business who documented their agreements and their decisions enough. And that lack of documentation will always lead to disputes and problems. Maybe not big ones, but they might be, business threatening decisions. I was thinking about one of my clients just this morning. I need to reach back out to her. She started a business with 3 friends. They went in on it together. And of course, at some point in the relationship, one of the friends said, I don't like the way this is going. There's a division happening. It's reached over $1 million in revenue and value and valuation in just like a year and a half. They're doing phenomenally well. But this division among the 3 founders is the type of thing that can eventually actually kill the business. And it's really sad to see. And so documenting better is key to avoiding those types of legal issues if you can.
And you mentioned your free strategy call. Do you recommend any other free resource for our audience so that they can be part of your community, and
Oh,
how they can approach you?
yeah, for sure. So potential clients can always schedule a free strategy call with me, and we'll spend 30 minutes on that. That's my number one resource, because there's nothing like sitting down face to face, like we're doing, having a conversation and really understanding the nuances of someone's business. Aside from that, I'm very active on LinkedIn. We publish blog posts all the time, and we have a lot of resources available. It's probably, I don't necessarily turn them all into lead magnets though. So it's probably easier through the strategy call for me to understand what's going on and say, oh, well, I've got a document that, you should consider using, or here's a playbook that you could maybe use to, ramp up your own intellectual property processes within your business, things like that.
Finally, I would like to ask you, is there any question which I didn't ask you, but I should have asked you?
Oh, I love that question. I actually use that question all the time with my clients. I'm like, what have I not asked you that you should tell me? I think the only thing else I would say is that my motto that I adopted, I don't know, 15 years ago was, and I use it today all the time. I think it's on every email that I send out. It's innovate with confidence. I think there's something about being confident in what you're doing. And I don't mean a false confidence or a bravado where you just go forward, ignorantly and get yourself into trouble. I mean, really building up your own confidence. And it's something I love to see in myself and my kids and my family and in my clients, and so I've got some, sometimes I'll talk to audiences about the 4 fears of innovators and entrepreneurs. And those 4 fears, stop people from taking action. They stop you from building a business. They stop you from moving forward. And the fear is, from my perspective, fear is always based on future events that you are afraid might happen. And the only thing to put fear in the past is action. Once you take action, you now know the results. There's no more reason to fear the things that you've already acted on. You might not like the results sometimes, but you've taken the action, and that fear becomes past. And, then you can move into confidence. So innovate with confidence has been my motto for a long time, and I'm going to stick with it. It's been the way that I try to run my business and the way that I try to work with my clients. So
Yeah, you are absolutely true, because fear is like false evidence appearing real.
yes, yep.
And yeah, that is how, and many times people think courage is absence of fear. No, courage is overcoming fear.
It's taking action.
And you help, yeah, because, and I see many solopreneurs actually, they fear of everything, fear of failure, fear of success, everything, and then they procrastinate. And many solopreneurs even quit their business before launching their first product. Many entrepreneurs don't see second year in their business, and those who see second year, many of them don't see fifth year. But I think you are here more like their savior, or who can help them to avoid all those
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, and fear is normal, right? We all experience it. We've all been caught up.
Oh yeah.
But taking action and, having people like you and mentors who can help get you past that, if that's, helpful for you, then that's what people should be doing, is taking action to minimize the fear and build their confidence.
Absolutely right. So you mentioned about LinkedIn, but is there any website or landing page where I can send people to?
Oh yeah, our website is intellectualstrategies.com. That's the name of our law firm. And on there, you'll see on every page more or less the ability to book a call with us if you wanted, if somebody on your audience wants to book that free 30-minute strategy call with me. And then you'll see a lot of resources. Go to our blog. You'll find a lot of resources there, including some DIY type resources that I've created for solo and small entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot coming on our podcast and blessing our community. And I just want to tell audience, if you want time from a lawyer, their rates And here Jeff is giving 30 minutes of his time. I think you should grab hold of it, because I think it is really irresistible offer. Okay. And he will sit with you. He'll find what you need, what you don't need. And and he may even help you overcoming your fear even in your first meeting. And then it's up to you to decide, of course, means whether you want to go or not, and how he can help you in which area. So Jeff, thanks a lot. And I'm going to follow you on LinkedIn, and I will go on your website and find out more details. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you being a guest on our podcast. Thank you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Sue.
Thank you.
Success stories from busy professionals just like you. Finding a community of other professionals. Building digital products on the side. Completely changed my journey. instead of feeling alone and overwhelmed. I now have people who understand exactly what I'm going through and celebrate every small win with me. Michael R., financial analyst and digital product creator.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.